Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. This week, calls for Treasury to abandon carbon tax plan in light of the new Integrated Resources Plan. DRD Gold expects rapid gold outputs, and exploration stimulus must be transparent. Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer tells us more. Welcome, Martin.
Hi, Sashni.
Now, following the release of the IRP, there are calls for Treasury to abandon carbon tax.
Yes, this integrated resource plan is fantastic because it's going to take us down the carbon intensity curve. It emphasizes renewable energy like has never been done before. So in the light of that, should this carbon tax sword of Damocles still be hanging over everyone's head to a point where they're not investing because Treasury is so recalcitrant that it won't say, okay, we're going to have a moratorium on this, or okay, we're going to remove this because it's become redundant. You know, with this IRP, we now look at less carbon intensity from the biggest carbon intensifier, Eskom. It's an era we're entering into where we see us having less carbon intensity. Why did they have that carbon tax? Allegedly because they wanted research and development into how you reduce that carbon intensity. Now, the fact that the carbon intensity is going to go down because of a new policy, surely they should back off on that carbon tax, just as Australia has done, just as other countries have done. Why does Treasury just always never back off? You know, we have a country now where you could be exporting jobs because of Treasury recalcitrance. I mean, we have a situation now where we've got the most chrome ore in the world by a long shot. But who's producing the most ferrochrome using South African chrome ore? China. They have taken the lead. Why should we lose that lead? Okay, we lost it because Eskom was charging so much for electricity that it paid people to answer China's call to just send out this raw ore, even though it's sent like circuitously all around the world, it still gets a profit margin for our chrome miners. But where does the real value lie? And where were we the leaders by a long shot? In ferrochrome, which is 5 times more valuable. So we are really exporting jobs to China on the ferrochrome front. Now we want to really export them big time, because if that carbon tax is imposed from January or wherever they're planning, you will see these smelters just close. You'll see so many smelters close. You'll see that the big sort of supply we still have in ferrochrome just dwindling. You'll see our chrome ore go flying out to China in bigger volumes. They will be making the added value and we will be exporting our jobs. You know, how does this make sense when we've just entered a recession? Now, we had other situations with the Treasury where they were supposed to stimulate activity in the mining industry. They said, we're going to copy the Canadians with a flow-through scheme. Come budget, they don't copy it at all. They come up with a scheme which they say is 10 times better, which proves so hopelessly useless that not one mining company is pursuing that, but a whole lot of boutiques in Cape Town. Now, are these people in the Treasury too Cape Town orientated? We can't have this Cape Town mentality all the time. You know, and when you speak to them about it, they become aggressive. Now, what are they doing for South Africa? These guys must wake up. We're in a recession at the moment. We need to get out of that recession. They need to say, look, we're putting a moratorium on the carbon tax, or we're getting rid of it like other countries, just to let people who are sitting there in these smelting positions realize, okay, that's no longer a sword of Damocles. Now we can start thinking about other things. If Treasury loves its taxes so much, let it impose an export tax. Be courageous. Let it impose an export tax, maybe for a limited period, but let it impose an import tax, an export tax on raw chrome going out of this country. Raw unbeneficiated chrome going out. Put a tax on it. And then run to the Chinese and say, look, you guys, you don't produce this as cleanly as we do. We make sure the air is kept okay. We've done the best we can. You don't. Come and invest in South Africa. Put up a ferrochrome plant. It makes sense. We've got 90% of the chrome in this region, and that'll give us extra jobs, extra investment, what we need now.
And the Far West Gold Recoveries Project is enabling DRD Gold to get into production quickly.
You know, this is fantastic. You can see the private sector works together very well. All right, the private sector and public sector do work well. We see it at the Richards Bay Coal Terminal. We see the way, you know, the Transnet and the ports work so well on the export of coal. But, you know, in other instances, we don't see it working so well. Yet, when the private sector companies come together, you see DRD Gold and you see Sibanye, Stillwater, look at the way they prepare the ground for wealth creation in South Africa, for getting that gold out of those dumps that you see lying there, doing nothing for the economy. They come together, they put their heads together, these two listed companies, they create a partnership, and suddenly you've got this horizon of 6 million, well, combined will be like 6 million additional ounces of gold. We need that sort of export at the moment. We need exports and we need jobs. And we see that this sort of coming together in a very benign and constructive way means that we'll be producing gold out of this Far West Gold Recoveries project, which is the Far West Rand, where we haven't been producing gold from dumps. We've been doing it on the East Rand, and DRD Gold still does that there, and it does it very well. There's an equally big, if not bigger, horizon out on the West, probably bigger, with a better yield. They say 25% more yield. This is magic to South Africa in times of recession. We need to dig ourselves out of this fast. How did we get into it? Because of this pussyfooting, you know, not actually focusing the mind. Look at the Australian economy at the moment. It is growing, and why is it growing at over 3.3%? It is driven by mining. Now, we have a bigger mining endowment than Australia. Surely we should put our heads together and use mining as a driver. Now, here you can see the private sector get together seamlessly. In the first quarter of next year, this project is going to be producing gold. Gold that can be exported and can bring foreign exchange into the country. All because of selflessness and some corporate patriotism thrown in. That's what we need.
Now, Mineral Resources Minister Gwede Mantashe has real plans around exploration stimulus while he was in Australia last week.
I'm so pleased. You know, people go outside the country and they seem to say more than they do inside the country, but he gave a very good account of his stewardship in Australia and presented a very good investment face along with Roger Baxter for South Africa. And one of the points that he raised is he's preparing to spend billions of rands to stimulate exploration. Now, this is like 20 years too late. We knew the Treasury was supposed to do it, I think in 2005. They promised flow-through schemes. They didn't have it. What is he going to come up with now to stimulate this exploration? The money is one thing. We also want transparency, because at the moment you don't know who's got these exploration licenses. You don't know where they are. It's so easy for them to let everybody know. Or hopefully they know where they've gone. I hope so, because some of the activities inside these regional offices of the Department of Mineral Resources we can see are not too orderly. And heaven only knows whether they've got all the records they should have. But hopefully we will get a situation where now at last we're going to get a Department of Mineral Resources that is going to promote exploration of mineral resources, exploring for more minerals, and doing it in a transparent way like the rest of the world, so you can attract foreign investment, and also being prepared to put billions of rands into this, because at the moment nothing is happening outside existing mine fences. So you've got capital being invested within mine fences. Nobody's daring to go outside because, you know, it takes years and years to get some sort of response from the Department of Mineral Resources. They are holding this economy back. They've held it back now, seriously, to a point where we're in recession. They are duty bound to hurry up now and to do things correctly and not have an ego where you say, oh, we're not going to follow the Canadians. You know, we've got a better scheme going, like we heard the Treasury say the last time, when it was the most stingy scheme in the world, that a whole lot of boutiques down in Cape Town seem to like it. And it's not listed, you know, these are not for listed companies. There's some aversion between Treasury and listings. Now, surely the Treasury should like a listed, enlightened company where you can see what's going on with your money that you've put through in these, and everybody else in South Africa can see what's going on with its money. They want a quiet, below the radar 12J of the Income Tax Act, where, you know, they can give you 40% sort of relief in your tax, but we won't know who's getting it most of the time, because They don't announce these things. And I think that era must end. And we must start doing what's best for South Africa fast. And I'm glad that Gwedi Mantashe, the new Minerals Resources Minister, he's got this in his hand now, where he realizes he's got to devote a lot of time to new exploration, because that's where the future of mining lies.
Thanks for speaking with us, Martin.
It's a great pleasure, Sashni.
That's it for today. Join us again next week for more news analysis on South Africa's mining industry.